Let us practice with some questions. Which of the following subatomic particles fits each of the descriptions below? Which one can be found outside the nucleus? Only the electrons are found outside the nucleus. Which one has a positive charge? The protons have positive charge. Which one has mass but no charge? The neutrons. Let us practice with some more questions. Is each of the following statements true or false? The mass of an electron is greater than the mass of a proton. That is patently false, because electrons are actually about 2,000 times less massive than protons. Protons have a positive charge and electrons have a negative charge. That is true. The nucleus of an atom contains only the protons and the neutrons. That again is true. Let us now take a look at the meaning of the number of protons in an atom. Think of the number of protons in an atom like you would think of your social security number. Your social security number should be unique to you, and it should not change. The number of protons in an atom is also unique to that atom, and it will never change. And because of its uniqueness, it is also called the atomic number of the atom. Take a look at this excerpt from the periodic table. Sodium has atomic number of 11. What that means is that sodium has 11 protons. Number of protons will be equal to 11. Remember that. Let me show you the periodic table and let us go through the number of protons in some atoms. We just talked about sodium. So the number up here, number 11 on sodium, that is the number of protons in an atom of sodium. Take a look at another one, calcium. The atomic number is 20, and that means calcium has 20 protons. And let us look at one more. Let us take a look at silicon. Silicon has atomic number of 14, and that means silicon has 14 protons. Now, let us take a look at the atoms that I have indicated again. Remember, the number of protons in an atom must be equal to the number of electrons, because atoms are neutral. Which means that if sodium has 11 protons, then sodium also has 11 electrons. If silicon has 14 protons, then that means silicon also has 14 electrons. And if calcium has 20 protons, then that also means that calcium has 20 electrons. So by simply looking at the periodic table, we can determine the number of protons in an atom and we can determine the number of electrons in the neutral atom. Let us take a look at some questions to practice how many protons you have in an atom. Select the correct number of protons in each atom. To answer this question, you need a copy of the periodic table. Let me bring one up. Fluorine has 9 protons because the atomic number is 9. So, 9 protons would be the correct answer. Potassium has how many protons? Again, we need the periodic table. Potassium has 19 protons because the atomic number is 19. And barium atom, again, let us take a look at the periodic table. Barium has 56 protons. Now, how do we write the symbol for an atom and imply the number of protons, the number of electrons, and the number of neutrons in the atom? This is how we do it. Let me use X as a generic symbol for all atoms. The number of protons in the atom would be written as a subscript. We always use the symbol Z to represent that. That is the number of protons in the atom, or the atomic number. But we also write a number as a superscript up here. Let us use A to denote that number. This number tells us something about the mass of the atom. So let us call it the mass number. But what does that mean? Remember, electrons are way too small to contribute to the mass of an atom, which means that the mass of an atom is mostly determined by the number of protons and the number of neutrons in the atom. So the mass number will be equal to the number of protons in the atom plus the number of neutrons in the atom. Let us take a look at an example. Look at sodium. From the periodic table, we already know that the atomic number is 11. One of the ways sodium is found in nature is with a mass number of 23. Now, let me be very explicit here. You cannot find the mass number on the periodic table. So let me write that down. Mass number cannot be found on the periodic table. So this 23 that I'm giving you here is based on how sodium is found in nature. Now let us analyze this symbol for sodium. Immediately you see this symbol, you are looking at the 11. Oh, I know the number of protons. The number of protons will be equal to 11. And since an atom of sodium is neutral, the number of protons must be equal to the number of electrons. So we know now that a sodium atom would have 11 electrons. How do we find the number of neutrons? And this is my symbol for neutrons. Well, we know that the mass number is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons. And we already know the number of protons. So all we need to do to find the number of neutrons is to subtract the number of protons from the number of neutrons. That would be 23 minus 11, which is equal to 12. So simply by knowing this symbol, we were able to extract the number of protons, the number of electrons, and the number of neutrons from the atom. I want you to try some questions. I need you to pause your video and try to answer this question. An atom of lead has a mass number of 207. How many protons are in the nucleus? So pause the video, answer the question. Okay, welcome back. If you look at the periodic table, lead has 82 protons. So, how many protons are there in the nucleus of an atom of lead? Number of protons will be equal to 82. How many neutrons are in the nucleus? To answer that question, all you need to know is the mass number. The mass number was given to us. So, to know the answer to that, you would have to subtract 82 from 207. And my calculator says it should be 125. How many electrons are in the atom? An atom has to be neutral. And that means the number of protons must be equal to the number of electrons. So the number of electrons in an atom of lead would have 82 electrons. I need you to do one more just to be sure that you know how to do this. An atom of zinc has a mass number of 65. So please pause the video and solve the problem. Welcome back. How many protons are in the nucleus of an atom of zinc? You will need a periodic table to do that. Zinc has 30 protons, so 30. How many neutrons are in the nucleus? We know the mass number. All we need to do is subtract the number of protons from the mass number, and that is going to give us 35. What is the mass number of a zinc atom that has 37 neutrons? Now this question is having a different twist. We have 37 neutrons. So 37 plus the number of protons will give us the mass number, and that is going to give us 67. So play with this and work on the worksheets that I've uploaded on eCampus.